Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Youth Ottawa's podcast, The Empower Hour, where youth voices take center stage. This week we're sitting down with two incredible change makers, Ryan and Meghan, who are stepping up to spark civic dialogue in a bold and creative way. They're here to share their plans for an upcoming youth policy open mic night right here at the Full Script office. And really, it's a way that young people can speak truth to power, share lived experiences, and propose real solutions to the challenges our city faces. Welcome, both.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
So you got to tell me, maybe I'll start with you, Ryan, like how did this all come about and where did this idea come from?
Okay, so as I was preparing for this podcast, just for context, like this is a project that has a pretty long history that stretches like around a year and a half. And so I wrote down the whole history on my phone, and so my eyes will be down here recapping all this in my mind for a while. So like for context, the Ottawa Youth Council has two mandates. One thing that really makes it interesting is that it basically has two mandates. It is a youth council that has the purpose of like providing city officials, city government officials, and elected representatives with the voice and opinions of the youth. It's that sort of channel from youth to those in established power. But it also has a second mandate of providing essentially civic engagement advocacy from youth to other youth. A lot of the OIC's initiatives have revolved around youth showing other youth, like high school, university-aged youth, the value of civic engagement, the value of voting. So I really wanted I saw that the OIC was allowing a lot of their youth members to set up events that involve guest speakers. And so I really wanted to make the most of my time here at the OIC and contribute to those events by setting up an event of my own. And the idea for the event that I had was one that really kind of fulfills both mandates. And so I had previously, especially the political side, especially the side of like creating a channel for youth to speak to those in power. And so I combined a bunch of different ideas of a bunch of different events that I had been to. I combined the idea of like the public speaking setting of the OIC's past events, the political policy making exercise aspect of a policy essay contest I participated in a year and a half ago, as well as the sort of open mic night setting that I've seen at like coffee shop open mic nights and at like a high school talent show sort of idea. And so I combined a bunch of these ideas to imagine like an open mic night, but instead of presenting like your poetry skills or your skills with a musical instrument, you're pitching a policy idea to an audience of fellow youth and people in power. And then this way, not only can those people in power hear what the youth have to say to them, but the youth presenters can also undergo an exercise where they are forced to flex and develop their policy making muscles, and they can receive feedback from other youth and from people in power who know more than them about like how to craft a good policy, so that they can essentially build that skill for their careers, and also network with a bunch of youth and established political figures as well. And so that was the general concept of the event that I worked on over a while. And throughout this interview, we can talk a bit more about like the history of how this developed and changed shape. But that was the general concept.
Yep. And now it's happening.
It sure is. Yeah.
We're about 4 weeks away or so, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
July 22nd in the evening. What time are we starting?
6 p.m. and probably go till around 9 p.m.
Yep.
Because that'll give enough time for not only for the presenters to have enough time to take their time on the big screen with their PowerPoints, presenting their ideas. It also gives plenty of time for a lot of feedback and conversation and discussion to flow back and forth between the audience and the presenters. And
which I think is really important part.
Mm-hmm,
like the back and forth, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of good conversation and constructive feedback. And it'll give plenty of like just time where no presentations are happening, where people can just network and mingle and make friends, make professional connections. Because that's one of the best things about a lot of work events I've gone to and OIC events as well, is that you can really meet a lot of people who might have an impact on the trajectory of your professional or personal lives. Yeah.
Well, one of the most fulfilling things I think I've witnessed with the group is other youth's initiatives of the Youth Council, how the other members have rallied around them. Like you helped out Julian Hodges' event, the civic event, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of camaraderie happening, but also, you don't have to come up with your own idea being part of the Youth Council. Like you can just support other people's ideas, right?
Yeah, for sure. And a bunch of people rallied around my event as well, like including Julian, who was your last podcast guest. I got a bunch of help from a bunch of people. We created our group chats to like pass around ideas, tell each other what we need. So for context, this is an event where I initially submitted a really sort of grand, expensive proposal with a lot of moving parts. And because OIC was kind of restructuring at the time, it wasn't really the right time to introduce an idea like that. And so when I was talking to you about reintroducing the idea, you recommended building a team to sort of like,
Lighten the load for you.
Lighten the load.
But also like the more minds,
exactly,
these brilliant minds in this room, right?
Yeah,
they can also shape your ideas and enhance things.
Yep, combine perspectives, like reshape the idea that way. And so I built a team and worked with them to create a new costed proposal that had fewer moving parts, a lower budget, and was much more smooth and streamlined. And Julian,
kudos to you. Kudos to you for not losing the genesis and the seed of the idea, but rather also learning how to navigate some of those challenges, right? Like funding is always an issue, no matter, if you're a big government institution or a small nonprofit, but you did a good job of that. And I think you gave yourself a lot of leeway, which, you weren't in a rush to do it like next month, which allowed it to kind of shape itself and form. But I'll maybe ask you a question next.
Sounds good.
You're going to actually present a policy on the 22nd. Can you tell us a little bit about your interest and what you're thinking of maybe bringing to the table?
Yeah, so I bring more of a mental health expertise, but I like less so on the policy side. But I'm trying to sort of adapt it into a proposal that sort of merges those two things, because I'm really passionate about how society and policy can impact mental health. So I came up with this policy proposal around sort of psychosis care in Canada and combining sort of a team-based, like what's called coordinated specialty care, which is sort of a model that has like lots of different perspectives at the table, sort of helping with the mental health of youth or of people experiencing psychosis, but then also combining that with a lived experience component and like integrated assessments into sort of services that would be able to meet people where they're at and stuff like that.
What's your assessment of kind of how, as a city, we support the mental health of young people?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good things happening. I think that there's been a lot of good work done in the research sphere by like the Ottawa Hospital Research Institute, the CHEO Research Institute, that sort of thing. I think that we still have a little bit of room to grow. I think that there's still like a lot of I know that the government is working on something called integrated youth services, which I think is going to be a big step in helping sort of bring those services together in one place for youth. They describe sort of a one-stop shop kind of thing.
Right. And
so
have you worked with or heard much about the Project STEP that the United Way is?
I don't think I have actually.
It kind of sounds similar. Like it's basically, the effort has been gone in to bring all of the kind of stakeholders together, and then have some common language around assessment and the frameworks for how youth are supported, and then that data can become stronger across many organizations. So that might be something to check out. And we've got a lot of great friends at CHEO that are working hard on that project.
Definitely.
Maybe I'll come back to you, Ryan. You talked about the mandate and having that vehicle, if you will, for lack of a better word, to have youth opinions, ideas, and concerns be communicated directly to the city. Do you think what's your assessment of, how seriously they take those ideas, those in power?
I guess I would say that that is a work in progress that's heading in the right direction. Just a couple of weeks ago, I attended a policy summit on youth privacy and youth social media use issues that was run by the Office of the Privacy Commissioner within the federal government. And when we eventually got to the sort of networking reception area after all the panel discussions were done, I talked with a bunch of people there and realized that there were a lot of youth councils, including some that I had never heard of, that were there. And when I talked with people who represented youth councils at this event venue, it really kind of put in perspective for them and for me that there are now probably more spaces carved out specifically for youth to provide input on policy issues and provide their own political views than really ever before. And that's a good thing, because it means that at least to some degree people in power are seeing that young people do have like insight and also leverage, because we're a big voting bloc as well, that politicians have now taken an increased interest in listening to. Like just over the past few years, there have been youth councils established within Environment and Climate Change Canada, other federal and provincial and municipal entities. The Prime Minister's Youth Council got revamped in some ways within the past decade. The Ottawa Youth Council kind of redesigned itself. Yep. And has been increasing its legitimacy as well. Like one thing I've really noticed over the past year is that the Ottawa Youth Council is becoming increasingly respected and seen as legitimate by the city council. And this is really a product of a lot of the hard work that has been done by you to help establish the sort of the profile and prominence of the organization, as well as members of the youth council who have tried to create connections to the city to really get their voice out there, but also by extension make a good impression on the organization. And when I don't know who are going to be the esteemed guests of the policy open mic night. A bunch of people have RSVP'd. Some city councillors have expressed interest. Some people who have long careers in the federal government who have expressed interest. I'm not going to say who, because things could change with their schedules. But what I will say is that when I emailed the city councillors saying the OIC is setting up this event, it's a way for you to learn from the youth and for you to teach the youth your issues, a bunch of them responded within 2 days saying I'm eager to come. Cool. And I bet that wouldn't have happened a few years ago when the Ottawa Youth Council's predecessor sort of kept a lower profile. Right. And so there's definitely been an increased interest in getting essentially hearing youth and providing dedicated channels for them to express their views.
Yeah, no, well said, Ryan. And I think also the engagement of the council members has really helped with that too. Whenever Adam finds these amazing opportunities like the Privacy Summit, that goes out and there's always members that are jumping at those opportunities, right? So I think that's also been a big part of it. It's if the members aren't active and being seen in other places outside of just kind of our central organizational meetings, then I think the legitimacy of what the city believes the value could be from the youth would also wane. So that's a testament to you folks, right? And also these events that you're organizing, right? That's one next step up. So it's been a great ride, and yeah, we're excited for July 22nd. Megan, yeah, do you have any?
Could I jump in? Yeah, I was gonna say that there's also, I've seen in the mental health sphere as well, there's lots of youth councils that have come about. CAMH has a National Youth Action Council that I'm a part of, and the Center for Excellence in Youth Mental Health in Quebec has a youth council as well specifically for mental health sort of topics. Right. But I think that it's really encouraging to see how people are really valuing youth ideas and the also perspectives of people with lived experience, stuff like that, into that sphere. And I also want to mention that there was a conference I attended actually in March called the International Association for Youth Mental Health. Okay. And it was that was a really good experience as well, where I got to see many youths are stepping up to take positions of that I didn't even know were available to youth. So it was like really cool. So those are just some thoughts I had while Ryan was talking there.
Yeah, so those spaces are being carved out and taken more seriously. What does this do like down the line for cities, for our country? Maybe either of you can answer this question, but I'm thinking like, what is the end result like when we think about this over time, like a more engaged youth population that are more involved in policy, more involved in the decisions that the city are making? What does that do for us in the end?
I think if it's okay if I step in. I was wondering. I think as a whole, as a society, we start to get ahead of the curve a little bit on these issues. Like when we start to really listen to youth, we get to see sort of get a leg up on sort of the outstanding issues like climate change and like mental health. Yes, we start to see sort of advances in society that like maybe wouldn't have happened years ago. So I think that is a big piece of it.
Yeah, I think apathy is one of the biggest threats to us, right? And having younger folks than you people, like you young people, see that you're getting involved and it actually working, I think can really kind of turn the tide on some of the apathy that we see out there with young people. So I think that's a huge value to our city.
Yeah. When it comes to my thoughts on like how raising the profile of youth involvement in politics can like shape the broader society. Like, I don't really know so much like how it would really reshape policy issues and what sort of policy issues are seen as worth prioritizing among the established powers. But I can definitely talk about how organizations like youth councils have reshaped the culture of youth. So it really increases youth's expectations of what they expect of themselves and what they think they are capable of and what they believe the norm is. Like one of my favorite YouTubers is a YouTuber who calls himself Art Chad. I've talked about him to you as well before. And my favorite video of his, which is also far and away his most popular video, is about how Gen Z is such an intense generation with such intensity to its drive and culture, because unlike in the past where your standards for what you can expect from your own performance and your own accomplishments is established by just the local community around you, with Gen Z, on the other hand, we have social media and we see people accomplishing the best of the best accomplishments.
The bar has been raised.
Yeah, essentially, yeah, like this. And this has positive and negative impacts. Like it makes young people like, really expect the best of themselves. And this can be positive and negative in terms of allowing young people to really be driven to accomplish positive things, whether it's like hustling to make a lot of money or like
really
making political change.
community.
Yeah. But there is a negative side to this as well, where you end up feeling like you haven't accomplished a whole lot. But still, for better and for worse, like people's social media feeds, especially on LinkedIn, are filled with the people around their age accomplishing huge things. And one of the positive aspects of this is that like they can see how they did it. Like they can see what organizations they were involved in. And so like
a bit of a roadmap there.
Yeah.
And potentially they could reach out to these people and get some advice or mentorship.
Yeah. And so I've definitely seen this as well, where people who are driven find each other, especially in online spaces. Like Megan and I, for example,
how did you meet?
Yeah, we actually met on LinkedIn because we had some mutual connections with regards to people who we used to work with, and also we were both involved in a now defunct mental health focused nonprofit called Frame. And so we connected through there and learned from each other that one of the things we have in common is that we're just involved in a bunch of different organizations, nonprofit, others, and we often surround each other with people like that as well.
Right.
And so, people like us who are very driven to like do a lot of impactful work with a lot of organizations like tend to find each other and create opportunities for each other, teach things to each other, and ultimately lift everyone up.
Yeah.
And so this is essentially the culture of Gen Z, like wanting to be the best and ultimately creating a community where everyone is trying to be the best version of themselves.
Right.
And as well, I think I agree with a lot, like so much of what you're saying, like with like the power of social media and stuff for collective action and stuff like that. And I think as well, empowering youth helps a bit with like you guys were saying, like the apathy and that sense of like, I've seen it so much a lot with like my generation, with like in high school, with in university, with like this sense of like frustration and helplessness, kind of, where like because like so many issues seem like just too big to tackle.
Yeah.
Like there's like, what can we do? Is there anything that anyone can do? But what empowering youth shows us is that we can make a difference, and that when we come together, we can make an even bigger difference.
Right.
So I think that's a big piece of it as well.
Yeah, and I think from my perspective too, some of the biggest challenges that face, our society and our city, we just expect that the PhDs are researching this and they're aware of like the things that are working in other parts of the world. But like, how often do we really, most people just don't have time to dig into that to see what's happening, right? So
It's like getting like a peek behind the curtain or whatever.
yeah,
right?
yeah, I think there's some value in just kind of like demystifying that and like bringing those ideas and saying like, because I think a lot of young people just see like an action and like we don't really try to do anything different. We just kind of manage the crisis.
Right.
And that's like the MO. So it's interesting. Like I really think it's neat that you're stepping into and focusing on like policy as the main issue. Who are you looking to come participate and pitch? Like maybe this is an opportunity. We're about a month away, roughly, like a little less than a month. What kind of young people are you looking to kind of come out of the woodwork and potentially talk about a concept, an innovation, or a policy?
Well, I was pretty much open to anyone. Like, in my efforts to try to spread the word about this event, I reached out to a bunch of organizations, nonprofits and political advocacy organizations alike across the Ottawa area to basically ask them, hey, can you pass along the word about this event to all your people? Some of these organizations had a target audience of high schoolers. Some of these organizations were like university campus political clubs and stuff like that. Some of these organizations were meant for young professionals who are already post school, like in their careers. And so I really just wanted to cast the broadest net to try to attract anyone who has an interest in this, or maybe even is like just kind of starting to develop an interest in this. And like, I had no real preferences when it comes to who would come and present, what policy issues they should present on. I wanted to keep this as open as possible because I wanted to learn as well. I wanted to see like who I could learn from and who I could take inspiration from next. And in terms of the presenters who have RSVP'd, there is actually a pretty big age range from what I can tell. Like, I know some of them are university aged, and Megan, you're past university as well.
Just recently.
A
couple weeks.
Congratulations on your graduation. You got really, really good marks. So I admire that about you. And so, I essentially didn't want to narrow it down in a way that would exclude anyone because, I was trying to attract even some people who aren't super into politics and are more into like specific like service related areas, like for example mental health. And so by casting the broadest net, that creates the greatest range of opportunities, because especially during the discussion back and forth portion of this event, imagine all these ideas that are going to be there, like all these perspectives, like people who have written briefing notes for the government are going to be able to talk about like how to write the next presentation like efficiently. People who have actual experiences in certain like social services would be able to talk about like whether certain ideas are realistic and stuff like that. And then ultimately it's just going to be a big flowing of a lot of different perspectives. And so that's why I wanted to attract just young people in general across age ranges, across different types of experience, and that's what the event is shaping up to be.
I think Jesse and I are wondering a little bit if is the set list, like the people who are going to be presenting, is that set in stone right now, or is that like changing? Is there still opportunities for people to sign up?
Oh, there's still opportunity for people to sign up for sure. Like,
and how long do you envision the presentation being?
The presentations are gonna. I gave everyone a parameter of like 10 minutes with 5 to 10 minutes of discussion. Looks like there's going to be enough time and flexibility for any of that to go a little bit longer if needed. And so people can ultimately just take their time and present whatever presentation they want, no matter how long it is, no matter. And if the discussion goes for a long time, then that's productive. Like that's not wasted time. That's the sort of discussion we want.
You also had a desire early on when you're planning this to, hospitable feed some the people that come. As a charity, we want to do that. We want to sponsor young people, but sometimes, the funds just aren't there. But really pleased to tell you too that because of your participation, putting the idea out there to the community through our new technology platform, Trivia for Tomorrow, actually people rallied.
Yeah.
And maybe just talk about, were you surprised to see kind of that evolve over the course of a week?
I was, and I'm really grateful as well. Like something that's really quite convenient is that I was working on figuring out how to build the budget for this event at the same time that you were trying to get Trivia for tomorrow off the ground.
Yeah.
And so, in the spirit of collaboration, you suggested, what if I make my event one of the nonprofit initiatives that people could donate to?
Yeah.
And the reason why I wanted food there is because this event is going to take place in the evening on a weekday.
You've been to events where they don't feed you.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, even if the event is like really intellectually stimulating, it's still not as fun as it could be if you're hungry.
Right.
And so I'm raising a bunch of money to make sure that there's enough food for everyone at the event. And so I wrote an excerpt for Trivia Tomorrow to advertise as like something for people to donate to as they play the trivia game. Yep. And I am really grateful for the donations that came in. I wasn't expecting a whole lot, but I believe I've now actually met my $5 goal, which is super cool, because that means not only this is not only beneficial to you for like helping to legitimize Trivia for Tomorrow. Right. It's not only beneficial for the event, because now people will have as much pizza as they want, but it's also beneficial to me because now I can put on my resume that I have accumulated and managed a budget. Like, so this is all professional development for everyone involved.
And that has come kind of from nothing, which is amazing. And I also think, what a great outcome of people hearing that story. What other young people might feel like, well, there's something that I want to try, and maybe this platform can support me in doing that. Once I believe the word gets out, we're going to be thinking about, hundreds and thousands of, not hundreds of thousands, but thousands of players that could potentially just as simply donate $25 a month towards an idea like that. And, it wouldn't break the bank for folks, but at scale, this could be revolutionary for events and for youth. So we've actually created a portal on the website where we're highlighting that youth can actually pitch their ideas through the portal.
Wow.
And then those can then become teams for each month's trivia. So who knows what kind of ideas. Now, maybe the last question is coming out of the policy night, and either of you can kind of ask, what are your goals? Like, are you hoping the next steps would be after a lot of young people come in and maybe participate in that event?
I'm gonna need a moment to kind of like think about that, but do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I think so. I'm hoping that it leads to sort of maybe more minds coming together and like more groups forming. Like if people like
collaboration,
more collaboration. Yeah, more youth collaborating with each other, more youth collaborating with policy people. Yeah, and just really, just more action being taken and more like more people getting the opportunities and the places for their ideas, that people can sort of know where that place is, that like that niche for their idea, it might take form into something greater.
What was the question again?
Do you have any goals for what comes out of this event?
Okay. So in terms of what I really want to come out of this event, like I kind of in a way, want Youth Ottawa's two mandates to be fulfilled plus more. Like I want the politicians and other public figures who are in attendance to really kind of think that they've come out of this with some good ideas that they can maybe like expand upon either independently or in collaboration with youth going forward. I want them to also like really see the value of youth ideas, and also to further see the value in further listening to the Ottawa Youth Council. I want for the presenters, I want them to really feel like they've gained some policy experience. I want them to feel like they've gotten some good constructive feedback on how to work on policies into the future from all the sort of diverse perspectives in the audience. And for everyone there in general, I also want people to network in a way where they've, kind of found their crowd, found their people who have similar ideas and passions to them, that they can essentially, exchange social media information to further
Carry the conversation forward.
carry the conversation forward, maybe in a professional way where they might work on certain projects together, maybe in a sort of nonprofit way where they might like work on some sort of nonprofit initiative together. Maybe there could be like some job connections flowing there, maybe and maybe even just as like building friendships with people who have a similar sort of drive and passion to you. Yeah. And so essentially this event is about sharing ideas and building connections in a way.
I love it. Thanks for being the guest on the Empower Hour. Keep doing what you're doing. It's making a difference, I can tell you, and you're an inspiration. So July 22nd, 6 to 9 p.m. right here on Albert Street at the Fullscript headquarters office. We'll be hosting Ryan and Meghan's initiative and many more that are helping you. Come on out. We have an Eventbrite up where you can register. You're going to start seeing more publicity about this on social media on Youth Ottawa. So
I just have one more thing to say. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who collaborated on this event, everyone who helped to craft the proposal, like everyone who's helped to spread the word about the event. All of my collaborators, I am definitely going to post a big like thank you post online that lists like all of them by name. But for now, I just want to say I couldn't have done it without all of them, all of the members of the youth council who did this. And so, it's going to be great.
yeah, it's a team effort. Okay, well, that's it. That kind of concludes our conversation about this. Again, July 22nd, here, downtown Ottawa, Fullscript office, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Spread the word. Share this podcast. Share the clips that come out of this, and hope to see you there.